Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Talk Live. You're joined by me, Sam, from Casual Watch Reviews, which you know, of course, because you're on the channel. I'm joined by Jason and Todd. How have you been, guys? You right?
Howdy,
Pretty good.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you can hear us okay. We'll do a few questions as we go through, but we've got quite an interesting show. We are going to do watch pet peeves, and Todd is going to be the judge. So we'll get going with that. But why don't we start off with a wristwatch check? I don't know who. Todd, do you want to go first? I'll go last.
Sure. So this is fairly recent to me. I guess late last year. This is a if I can show it there. This is an LL Bean Hamilton chronograph.
Okay.
I wish you could see my face right now.
I love this thing. It's so cool. It's 7750 derived. You can see on the back, if it shows it up, it still has it where it was headquartered in Lancaster, even though at this point the company had already been acquired by Swatch and had moved to Switzerland even before that. But I kind of like these co-branded watches. Some people don't, they think it's ugly or whatever, but I just really dig the way they would do these specialty. And so I have an LL Bean khaki field automatic too.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
They also did. Evidently, LL Bean did like 8 different watches. Most of them were Hamiltons, and then they moved into something really cheap and more recently. But I just dig it. I like the gold. I like the black. And it's my Seiko guy did the restoration. This was his first 7750 that he did. So he bought a movement holder and, gave it a good whirl, and it works great. And then on eBay, I found a, Hamilton branded.
Oh, nice.
With the new logo.
It's a little bit later one, but it works great with the watch. So
it's like the John Player special color scheme, because you've got other watches like that, haven't you? John Player special color scheme.
Yeah. I got my John Player special, which is that same, kind of black and gold theme going on. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of elegant. It's fairly thin. You could wear it. Like I have this is actually a custom made shirt I had when I was in Thailand. So it's a little tight because the cuffs are a little bit, but it works under a sleeve. I think it wears well for that.
And we for the YouTube algorithm, we don't endorse smoking on the channel.
Yes.
Bad. Or excessive drinking. Jason, do you want to go next?
Yeah, don't smoke alternate cigarettes either.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be really hard to see. Let me see. Because of my light.
Oh.
This is, just go to my Instagram. This is my Seiko Marine Master mod build I had done with Seikoted on Instagram. We worked together, and I basically wanted what I would call like an inverse version of a SPB 143. But I've always loved the Marine Master case, and I've always loved the Shogun bezel. So it's a Marine Master case, Shogun bezel, and then I was able to get a dial done through Tempest Meister, who's on Instagram, and I was able to get my watch rolling script on the dial because I just wanted a watch to kind of commemorate my website and the podcast. And I always liked the 143, but I always would have liked it better if the dial was lighter and the bezel insert was darker. And so that's what I did. And it's got a 12-hour bezel insert so I could track a second time zone. Super nice.
Super nice.
You've already upset the crowd. You've already upset the audience now. Apparently we can't get a better look at it, but it's all on Jason's Instagram.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Hi there. Okay, so I'll do mine. It's same as last week, actually. The Seiko Speed Timer. I don't know. There's just something about this that I just keep going back to. But what I have switched up the bracelet. So if anybody's not seen this crazy bracelet, it's the Uncle Seiko Razor Wire, which I think is one of the most comfortable bracelets that I've ever worn. But if you look at that, it's so flexible, kind of will fold back on itself. It's I love it. I mean, it doesn't have the fitted end links or anything, but I suppose with it being a retro-y looking watch, I think it kind of gets away with it, or at least that's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah, I think it's funny that I'm the kind of the Seiko goofball here, and I'm wearing a Hamilton, and you two are wearing, here we go. Here's my cozy though.
One of Uncle Seiko's specials. Yeah. Well, why don't we dive into the main part of the show? What we're going to do is Jason and I have come up with 5 and maybe a little bonus one each pet peeves, things that we don't like about watches or about a specific watch, or maybe the watch world in general. Maybe is one of mine. So I'll probably upset people. But anyway, and then Todd will be the judge, and Todd will then decide whether he sustains our objection or whether it's overruled. But before we do that, I actually have created a little intro here for Todd, which Todd hasn't seen. So let's play that and see what you guys think. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Todd. The watches are real. The cases are fake. His judgments are always final. Todd, watch judge.
Nice.
That's outstanding. I had hair. You gave me hair. Oh, thank you.
Did. I had to give you one of those stately wigs. Well, let's dive into the 5. So, guys, we'll get to some of the comments as we go through this, and let us know if you've got any watch pet peeves. But we'll try and get through our 5, and then we'll jump into a few of the comments. And Todd can maybe make a watch judgment on yours as well. Jason, go on. Why don't you kick us off? What's your first one?
Okay, so my first pet peeve, something I can't stand, and just for reference for everybody, tuning in, I'm still a relatively new watch collector, so about 2.5 years, like almost 3 years. So I probably don't have quite the nuance of Todd and Sam. So I'm kind of behind the 8 ball here. But here's my first one. I hate it when you look at a watch's specs on a company's website and it says Japanese movement, because I know enough to know now that it's probably one of the lower, like 8,000 series Miyota movements. And that every time I move my arm's going to counteract the way my arm wants to go. And then I'll eventually throw my shoulder out of socket. Like, so Japanese movement is something I don't like.
Well, I agree with those 8,000 series. I even did a video where I recorded just how loud that revolving rotor is. But, well, Todd, this is your first judgment. Is that objection sustained or overruled?
That is absolutely sustained. If you know Bill Saunders' YouTube channel, he does a lot of fairly intricate Swiss watches, is his kind of thing. And one of the things he hates are the upscale watch manufacturers that don't tell you the truth about movements. Like IWC will kind of rehash an ETA, but they'll rebrand it as something that looks like theirs, but it's really a modified. Nothing that there's nothing necessarily wrong with a modified movement, but they're not necessarily clear about it. And this is what, a $5,000 IWC watch or something like that. That makes it, I'm super, super annoyed by that. So I'm 100% with you, Jason, 100%.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, I'll go with my first one, and I can do a little bit of show and tell here. And this didn't bother me for a long time, but then Chris TJ, who occasionally joins us on the channel, he pointed this out as one of his pet peeves with watches, and now I can't unsee this at every watch that I get. And that is, I'll pull up a screenshot here as an example, is watches, and it killed this watch for me, but it's watches where it looks like the minute hand should go all the way to the outer track, but it falls short. So here on this one, it looks like it should go to the minute track, but it kind of falls short. So this short minute hand syndrome is something that now I can't unsee it, and I can't understand why, especially field watches and things like that, don't have a minute hand that goes all the way to the outer track. So that is my one. What do you think, Todd?
You guys are hitting it out of the park. It's annoying. It's like if you have a ruler and you have to measure something that's 13 inches or more than 12, and you have to kind of do the shifting. Yeah. Yep. 100%, Sam.
It's like a T-Rex designed to watch.
Yeah.
Well, G-Shock do it as well. There's some of those really high-end G-Shocks that look like they've got short minute hands, and I don't understand it because the watches are so bold themselves. But anyway,
there's something wrong with high-end G-Shocks. That's my pet peeve. I don't get it. I think somebody on Federico's Delray Watch or something, there was a $3,000 Casio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that? But anyhow.
No, I get you, but they'll outlive us all. Those they're like built like tanks, aren't they? But go on, Jason. What's your next watch pet peeve?
Are you ready?
Go on.
Okay. I can't stand it when it's obvious that someone's doing a review, like a review, not a preview, a review on a watch that it's obvious they've never even touched.
Oh, okay.
All the pictures are stock pictures, and et cetera, et cetera. And not to toot my own horn, but I just did a William Wood watch review or preview, and guess what? All the pictures are mine because I actually had the watch and I touched it.
So this is the fireman's watch. Is it made by?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know much about them, but
William Wood's watches. And so, long story short, the owner is awesome. His grandfather was a firefighter in the British fire brigades. I learned a lot about British firefighting for this thing. He was for 25 years. A cool thing is all the different brigades are allowed to have different color hoses. So it's like the wild, wild west of firefighting hoses, which has got to be kind of cool because if someone steals your hose or not. There's like red ones, yellow ones, blue ones. They take melted down firefighting helmets and put them in the crown and in some of the case backs. And it's just a way of him honoring his grandfather's legacy. But they're really well made. I mean, they're really well made. The designs are really thought out. The straps are super comfortable. And I put in not to ruin my preview, but I was scratching my face or something and I smelled the bronze.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And man, I was back on the ship like that because a lot of our valves are bronze on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I was all, oh man, I'm back on the ship. And
wow.
It was interesting.
What I mean, I have to agree with it because I try not to do it. But
yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the urban gentry, I think he calls out or used to call, was it him or somebody else used to call out people that would do watch reviews without actually having handled the watch. And I saw one of his latest ones and he said, everything he's doing, he's actually handled or had contact with in some fashion. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'll give an opinion on a watch, but I won't if I've not seen it from the images. But I won't go into like a full review of everything. But I'm sure somebody's going to call me out. We're getting some great ones in the comments, guys. We'll definitely get to them. In fact, I'll do one, and then maybe we'll do one from the comments. My next one, this is going to be controversial. I know it. In fact, hopefully they're all controversial. Now I know. This is something that watch companies used to do, but for some reason it bothers me seeing newer watches that use Mercedes hands that aren't Rolex. And I think it looked good in the 90s. Like Tag did it for a bit, didn't they? Zodiac had a Mercedes hands, but now I think it's so synonymous with Rolex that whenever I see a watch that isn't a Rolex, a newer watch that has a Mercedes hands, I automatically think they're trying to steal a little bit of glory from Rolex. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm not a strong opinion on this. I'll go with what you're saying a little bit. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't like the Mercedes hand in general. I think as well. I don't like the cathedral hands on Mont Blanc. So I think even maybe Rolex watches that had a different hand.
You don't like fancy hands. You just want fence post hands. Is that
yes?
Yeah,
I like. I mean, these are ideal on this speed timer. The Speedmaster, it's got the best hands. Like the hands on a Speedmaster. When you see them, it's like this is an instrument for telling the time.
Yeah,
this is like
hands on a chronograph should be skinny so you don't obscure the subdials as they switch. We're absolutely right.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, somebody does. Nick agrees with me about the Mercedes and cathedral hands. Well, okay. So that was my next one. Should we take one from? Let's take one from.
Let's do one from the crowd.
Here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here, this is a good one. So this is from Mark. Setting time perfectly, only to have the minute hand jump when pushing the crown in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that one.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is like to kind of piggyback on what Mark said. So when I got my Zen, showed up, and I was like, man, like you would think for the price point, when I unscrewed the crown, it would pop. My Seiko mods pop. ping, ping, right?
Mhm.
And so I called the company. I'm not going to name any companies. I called the company. The guy's like, well, it's probably been sitting around for a while. So just take your, crown, screw it down, open it, screw it down, open it, screw it down, open it. He's like, do it like, 10 times a day, like 5 times a week for like the next 2 weeks, and you should be okay. And then I was thinking to myself, like, are you guys going to pay me to do this? Like, this is now, it would have been fine during the 1 month challenge. Yeah, 1 month challenge. I'm stuck wearing this thing anyways. I might as well do it. But it is kind of annoying because you could tell it had been sitting around for quite a while and just hadn't been moved. And so now it's fine. Like every time I go to open it and set it or whatever, it does its thing. But I think that's along the same lines as, because every time I would push it back in, sometimes it'd screw with it. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I was perfect. And now I'm not.
Okay, so we sustain that one. Well, let's get another one from the audience as well for Todd's judgment. James Duffy, I don't like having a ghost date crown position on a watch that retails for over 1K. Now, I never have this problem because I refuse to buy a watch without the date. But so I'll defer judgment.
Something Sam hates: watches without dates.
Oh,
no, I agree. I mean, I totally agree with James, because are you serious? It's $1,000. You can't go. I mean, theoretically, it would be cheaper, right? Like you would make more money to have a dial without a date on a watch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why would you just buy?
I guess it depends on the nature of the movement. They usually buy like an NH35 Seiko movement. A lot of the micro brands buy. And if you don't have a date on that, I guess you just buy these by the truckload. Maybe it's more. I don't know. I think it's laziness. It's really, Jason, it's laziness. There's really no excuse. I think even for a more moderately priced watch to do that. And frankly, it just would turn me off. I have like a $300-something Borealis, which is exceptionally just a really huge 300-meter diver, really well made. It uses an NH35, and everything in it clicks just right. It's done like it should be, and it's a $300 watch. There's really no excuse.
Oh, yeah. I want to let Nick know I am pro pop. I want a little pop when I pull it out. But when I get a Zen 105 UTC and I get it, it should pop the first time I open it. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to like sweet talk it into popping for me. Like, hey, would you mind popping for me when I try to set the time? I really appreciate it. I don't want to deal with that.
I think you were set up. Really.
Yeah.
I might have been. From, he'll say, I'll get rid of this guy for 2 weeks because I'll have him do this ridiculous thing that really won't make a difference. And he'll forget about it.
Run out the return timeline. Well, I forgot whose go is it? Is it yours, Jason?
It's mine.
Yeah.
So what are we on, number 3? Yeah.
Okay,
so everyone bear with me for a minute, but here we go. Inverse watch snobbery. So I think people tend to think that watch snobbery only goes this way from the top down. But I've paid a lot of attention to this, and there is a lot of watch snobbery that goes from the bottom up. And I think it's unfair, right? Because it's unfair. How can I say this? I understand that I grew up a poor kid, bro. Like, and I always talk about the Oris Roberto Clemente. I think it's a crime that it's $2,000 because I played baseball growing up. My family's, of Mexican-American descent. I'm a Chicano, right? I played ball. Roberto Clemente is arguably the best, right fielder of all time. Cannon for an arm, 3,000 hits, batted 300 for his career. Great guy, humanitarian, the whole nine. And if I was some young Puerto Rican kid, well, guess what? I can't buy the Roberto Clemente Oris because it's $2,000, right? So I get it. But at the same time, like, if someone shows that they have an Omega or a Rolex or something higher end, you don't know. Like, when I told you about that article I read today about the double wristing guy on Hodinky. He outlines how he got that Patek Philippe. It wasn't easy for him to get that Patek Philippe. He worked his tail off and then someone stole it, right? So my thing is like, there's all this like, oh, you own this, but you could just get this for $200. Well, it's not always really the same. And you don't really know what that person did to earn that piece. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, it really is like, dude, I earned my Zen. I earned my Marathon. I did a lot of groundwork for my TSAR. I earned this bad boy right here, which I have a picture downloaded. So if I can share my screen later, everyone can see it. You know, because a lot of hard work went into it and stuff like that. So the inverse watch snobbery thing, I think it's like, what are you going to do when you finally get that piece that you want that costs a little bit more? You know what I mean? Like, and then someone just poo-poos you because it's not a Casio or something. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm totally. This was actually my bonus one as well. Is this idea of watch snobs or being called a watch snob if you don't agree with somebody? I think it came from the early days of YouTube, to be quite honest, and some people kind of probably played it up a little bit. I won't name any names, but you know, people know who he is. But this is I totally agree with you, because some of the most passionate watch collectors you meet are the ones that have high-end watches, like that have Rolexes, Omegas in their collection. They are the most passionate about watch collecting in general. They have usually an entire range of watches. I've never met anybody that has a high-end watch collection that has ever looked down on anyone on my Facebook group, in the comments section, or has poo-pooed anybody that has lower end watches. But you can definitely get into a rumble with somebody that you're right, that is perceiving that they have this perception that there's snobs there, but they don't really know. They're just kind of trying to fit a square peg into a hole, I think, sometimes.
Because I did an article on this, and I did it on my podcast, you know, and I looked up, I mean, literally the definition of snobbery is someone who's basically telling you their opinion of taste, right? And taste is subjective, totally subjective. You know what I mean? Like, someone could look at my goatee and be like, oh, why is that guy growing that goatee? Because he can't grow a magnificent beard like Todd or Nick in his picture, right? It's like, this is what I can grow, bro. Like, half my face looks like dirt and the other half doesn't grow any hair. I mean, I can grow a goatee. I'm going for the halfway solution. You know what I mean? And that would be totally subjective, but they would be trying to push their taste on me. And that's what snobbery is. Snobbery isn't an elevation thing. It's not top down all the time. You can be, you know, sideways and be a snob based on whatever it is, you know, by the definition of the word. So I just think it's kind of funny, because I don't look at anyone's, like when you had the Speedmaster, or, you know, you're on the list for your Grail watch, like, or like Todd, like when you showed me, like you showed us last time, some of the cool Seiko chronographs you have that I've only seen like pictures or read about, you know, not 1 ounce of me is like, oh no, I'm happy for you guys, because they're cool. It's what you guys like, and you guys probably worked your tails off to get them. So I'm happy for you, you know?
Yeah. Somebody's added a comment here. I'm not sure that's inverse snobbery. It's just people thinking they know what's best for others. Stop watching those channels. Leave leave those Facebook groups. If people are telling you, I think, or would you argue that, is there more issue on Facebook groups of people telling you what to buy, or is it people incessantly asking you what they should buy? That is more annoying, I wonder. But you know, anyway. So Todd, sorry, we didn't ask you for your judgment on that one.
None of this is, to me, controversial, other than the fact that there's people out there doing it, and that I give you a strong, both strongly worded opinions that are correct. Absolutely. I mean, I had this a discussion with my granddaughter, who's 16, and it got to men's fashion. And I said, something, and she said, yeah, there's guys wearing halter tops, like the bare midriff, shirt or something, not a halter top, but like a bare midriff shirt. I mean, not just like something ripped and cut, but it was like done like this, almost like a halter top. And I'm like, oh, who thought that is a good idea? Now, am I being somewhat of a snob in saying that, or is it, at some point maybe something crosses the line? At least
I can tell you in high school football in the 90s, halter tops were all the rage.
Yeah. I remember that with the football players, but this is like conformal. It's almost like a halter top that this guy was wearing in this picture. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, James Duffy has got a good point if you want to pull it up, Sam.
Yeah. Well, there's also, this is the thing with YouTube as well, is YouTube encourages you to be controversial, and there's certain people that are playing characters, aren't they, online? And the more you rile people up, the more people will watch your stuff. So I mean, I try and avoid that if all possible. But it's certainly, there's more factors at play than just.
Yeah. This is why I like Sam so much. When I discovered him back when he had like 10 viewers, I think, he was doing this YouTube thing out of his kitchen in his apartment in LA.
That's true.
Right. Remember that? And it was like, oh, this is so genuine. I love this. It's what was so much. I was like number 11, I think, or whatever, but subscriber, but it was fun.
Yeah. No.
Michael Aguila says you can't really win once you show your watch. Either you'll come off humble or boastful. That's social media. You'll be judged.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. You nailed that one, Mike.
Yeah. Well, my next one then, get this back on track, is I'm talking about snobs. I would like to think I'm an accuracy snob, but I genuinely get anxiety if I have a mechanical watch that runs 10 seconds or more slow a day. Like I can feel like the anxiety of it, and I don't know what it is, but I can't reconcile a watch that runs more than 10 seconds slow in my own collection. Like when I get a new watch, it goes straight on the time grapher, and I'm pensive about it, even though I know that it doesn't make any sense, because 10 seconds a day, it's only a minute a week, isn't it? I could set it back. I think that's probably why I buy quartz watches or wear quartz watches again, even though I love mechanicals. And then inversely, I get an immense sense of enjoyment if a watch is like, +4 or -4 seconds a day, like the old Christopher Ward is. But that's my one. Todd, I don't know what you think on that one.
I'm with you. When I was first getting into more and more mechanical watches, I got my time grapher because I was tweaking them. I was setting them up, getting beat air out, and trying to get them as close as possible. And then, but then you wear it in different positions, and you can get it really pretty good, but then it would move, around. And then I realized, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to really worry about a mechanical watch's accuracy. I mean, as long as it's reasonable and within tolerances or specs rather, so I don't do it anymore. I used to go down and, with I have an atomic Seiko clock that goes off the long wave radio frequencies to sync with the atomic time, which now you can do on the internet anyway. But I used to go into it and I would go, oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, I lost 3 seconds. Then I'm like, it's a 1991 Hamilton. Who cares that it's, X number, as long as it's running well. So I'm with you.
Yeah, it's funny. So Nick commented here, it's hard to reconcile the fact that such strong opinions come from some people who know so little. This is like the unofficial tagline of of YouTube, I think. Yeah. It's YouTube, where such strong opinions come from people that know so little, including myself.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I definitely include myself in that one. Okay, Jason, what's your next one for the judge?
Okay. This one might get me banished.
I want something controversial. Come on.
Here it comes. You ready? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We had our little conversation earlier, so I was trying not to allude to the fact, but fanboying in general, I can't stand it, or fan whatever. So for like a brand, right? And so for those of you that are watching that watch sports, when you're like, oh, I won't name it. I guess I can't really name a team because I don't want to endorse anybody, but you're like, the Washington professional football team really cares what I think. No, they don't. They don't care what you think. They want your money. They're a franchise, just like McDonald's. Like, they literally are a franchise, and all they want is your money. So Seiko does not care what you think in the grand scheme of things. Now, are there some smaller watch brands that will listen to feedback and do stuff? Yeah, I guess. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, these are corporations, they're companies, and unless you have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I only know one watch person that's got that, they probably don't care. And honestly, I've heard the 500,000 subscriber YouTube person say stuff, and the watch brand still doesn't care, because at the end of the day, they're a company. So it's kind of like the whole Chevy Ford thing, or Coke or Pepsi. They don't care. They don't. So why would you sit there and poo-poo? Like, if someone like Citizen, but you're a Seiko person, why would you poop on the Citizen person? It makes no sense, right? So that's it. Fan personing in general, I can't stand it.
Yeah, I mean, I come from Manchester, so the tribalism around football is I know how passionately people hold things to beliefs. So yeah, and I think I'm very passionate about certain brands. I mean, no product placement on our channel.
How's that?
FC
Oh,
Barcelona.
yeah. Oh, very good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's nice to. I think the especially the thing with, I suppose, Seiko and watch collecting in general is that it's something that people it says a bit about you, doesn't it? And you like to share that with other people, and maybe this is because it does form a passion. Maybe those passions sort of spill out, and that's why you get these sort of controversial topics and things like that. That you want to know that you're kind of fitting in somewhere. So I'm not. I know what you mean. I know it's you can't put emotion onto the company themselves or feel like they are like Rolex is the classic one, isn't it? Where Rolex is like, look, we know you like the brand, we're making good products, but we're like doing our own thing. And I think I wonder whether more companies should, just do that, where there is nobody ever says, oh, Rolex did that because of the fans. I mean, there's one or two models I'm sure that people would say that, like the Batgirl, but other than that,
Yeah.
Anyway, Todd, what's your judgment on fandom?
Well, Jason said, see, the problem I said, I got this new Citizen chronograph, and it's to me, it's a little large. So I just, I don't know what to do about this, but
you know how much sun you're going to soak up with that thing? That thing's going to be charged for 800 years.
I love this clock. It took me a while to find it. I used to have the watch. I gave it to my oldest son. There we go.
Is that the Ron Swanson?
What's that?
Is that the Ron Swanson watch?
Is that what they call it? It's a 2100 caliber. So in terms of the Echo Drive, so it's a Citizen
from Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
Ron Swanson.
Yeah. It's that one. Yeah.
If I ever find one, I'm going to buy it.
I could gain some weight. Okay, thank you, Von Krul. Yeah, if I gain some weight, maybe it'll fit right with my.
Yeah,
it's
like your cap. If you were a Marvel action hero.
That's right. It doubles as a shield, like Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Watch Judge. We're going to make this a real Marvel character. Did you make a judgment on fandom there, Todd?
No, you're right. It's silly, right? You see it in pro football in the U.S. all the time. I mean, it's okay. I root for the team I grew up with. I root for the local one here, where I'm near Philadelphia, and all that stuff. But I don't get. It's pointless to get into it because I'm not employed by them. I don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. And they win or lose, okay, and life goes on. I agree.
I'm gonna jump in with a controversial one now for everyone, and
I'm waiting to get one.
I've bought some. I've got some evidence to submit to the court here. Ooh. And this is, if anybody's watched my YouTube channel, this comes no surprise, is the conflation of homage watches to fakes, like or to copies, where people say that a watch that is a copy is a homage. Now, I'm going to submit into evidence here the first one, which this is the beautiful Rolex GMT Master. This is one of the originals, 17,500, way out of my price range, but I can appreciate it for what it is. So what is not a homage to this? What is a copy? And I submit into evidence, you can see it here, the Steinhardt Ocean 1 GMT two-tone. This is in no way a homage to the Rolex. This is a copy. And why do I say that? Because homage is paying respects to a design. In my mind, is paying respects to a design, is evolving a design on. And so my second evidence here is, well, if I'm saying this is not a homage, then what is a homage? And I will say that the homage to this Rolex GMT is the new Tudor Black Bay. It's a homage because it's referencing that watch it's taking elements of the design but evolving them on. So it's got elements, it's got coloring of the watch, but it's added its own style to it. It's moved the design forward or into the Tudor design language. So this one I would say is a homage to the GMT. The Steinhardt I would say is a copy, and I think we need, if you really, as you're getting into watch collecting, this is one of those stark things that I think you realize is that some watches are just copies of other watches, and they are by no means paying honor or paying homage to those watches. So there's my controversial one. Stop screen sharing, and then Todd, you can pass judgment, or maybe the commenters can judge me.
I don't know if that's as controversial, because there's been a lot of discussions on what's a homage versus what's a copy. And I think you're kind of right, although I might argue that Tudor has done a lot of copying to get that homage to their bigger brother Rolex's root beer or whatever that specific one is. I don't like right. I like that. Thank you, BDev. I don't like homages to watches that are currently in production. That's my thing. So my Borealis, for example, is a homage to the original Blackmon 50 Fathoms, like the original one, and which I can appreciate. But I wouldn't want something that is too much of a homage to something I can go that's being advertised. I can go buy now if I had the money or something like that. That's my pet peeve from a homage standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, there is. You're right. That, I mean, the Borealis is as a watch collect. This is the thing. So I guess to make this distinction as well, your Borealis is, if you know watches and you're into watches, you know that it is a homage to a 50 Fathoms. But if somebody's walking past and seeing it on your wrist, they're not going to mistake it for a 50 Fathoms, are they? Whereas that Steinhardt, very easily from a meter away, you could easily mistake it for the Rolex GMT.
You could lose an arm in LA with that Steinhardt on.
And that's the problem as well, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. And what good is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go, Jason. I think I don't know, Todd. Did you make a judgment on that one? Do you have a sustained or objected?
I sustain it with some caveats, but yes.
Okay. Jason, what's your next one? So we're on the final one, are we?
Yeah. I don't see anybody else having one in the chat, so we'll go with mine. This is a real hot take: a lack of micro adjust.
Oh,
I hate a lack of micro adjust, and the reason why I say this is because I have a 7.5 inch wrist, right? So you're talking to a guy with a humongous head. I have a huge head. I wear like a 7 5/8 fitted ball cap, like it's insane. I come from a long line of humongous heads. I guess I have a large wrist too, so I'm a bigger guy. I'm like 6'2", like 255, 260, but I don't have like a huge gut, right? So every time I go buy like dress shirts, I have to get them tailored. I have to buy executive shirts, and I have to get them tailored in the waist because I don't have all this stuff down there to push the shirt out, right? And I feel the same thing with watches sometimes. Like sometimes I get a bracelet and it's like, man, I just can't get it to fit perfectly. And it's part of the reason why I didn't get a bracelet on the Zen 105 UTC is because I was like, that bracelet looks really complicated. I don't feel like dealing with it. I'll just get it on a strap and NATO it out, and now I have some regrets about that because I didn't know the rule back then. You always get it on a bracelet and just push a bracelet in the box and keep it. But it's just, how hard is it? It's 2022. Like, I mean, we don't have flying cars, but give me 5 micro adjust positions for the love of Pete, So lack of micro adjust.
And I have to agree with that.
You are 100% correct. So this is a problem because Omega does it with some of their bracelets because they have the half links and they're a pain to get right. And Grand Seiko is notorious for not having enough micro adjustment in their bracelets. So yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, there's like 2 positions on this one. I think Christopher Ward get it spot on. You hear that Tudor, the the Pelagos. Not that I've tried it on, but apparently that micro adjustment on there is fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, I've just Jason, you inspired me to switch up my bonus because my bonus was going to be the watch snob. But before I get to the bonus one, no surprise, my next one is having no date on a watch. Now, I'll try and explain it because I think for me, I love to have the date on a watch. I don't like to look down and not know the date. Not that I do it that often because certainly I work from home. My calendar's always up. But there's just something for me about having it. And also, because mechanical watches are already a marvel, I think it's a marvel having a function, a calendar wheel that switches over every 24 hours to show you the date. And it's good to adjust it when the month's out. It reminds you of like which months are longer than others. I just think that it balances. Watches can look too uniform to me, the dial, whereas I think a nicely placed date really finishes a watch off in my mind. So I'm going to put into evidence my pet peeve is a watch with no date.
No. No. While I appreciate a date very well, like my Bucherer has the big date on it.
Oh yes,
Love that. I agree. I love it. But both my Speedies are no dates, and it's just something elegant about a dial that's so symmetric, that doesn't have the wound for a date window. Okay. It's a wound. Come on, it's a wound. So that's I have most of my watches do have day dates or dates or whatever because most watches have them, but there is something just beautiful. It's like putting an earring in a Mona Lisa. Why would you do that when it's so perfect the way it is? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, I've been overruled there.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, did you have a bonus one that you wanted to go over?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a bonus one for my wife. So
okay.
I don't know if she's even watching, but listen. I mean,
this is stuff. Hearsay because the witness isn't here.
Yeah, she's not here.
Just so the judge knows.
But I do have. Yeah, I do have video recorded proof of this. So a long time ago, I was on SoCal Watch Reviews podcast, right? And we were looking at the Baltic when they released that new Baltic with the Breguet numbers. And I will be remiss if I did not bring this up every single time I could for my wife. They cut off is it the 5 and the 7?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
the chronograph.
And when she saw it, it was such a, not a visceral reaction, not like when someone cuts you off in traffic, but it was like a visceral reaction. She's like, why would they cut those beautiful numbers off? And I was like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, why would you do that? They're sweet numbers. And someone just released, I don't want to say it's Steinhardt because I know Sam will have an aneurysm. But there was someone that just released a watch with Breguet numbers that's got subdials, but they managed to keep all the Breguet numbers intact. I should have saved that. I didn't. But instantly I thought, oh, my wife would love that watch because you can see the beauty of the Breguet numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love Breitling, but Breitling do this with that 4. They amputate the top of the 4. There's quite a few that do it that I think, but I think, is it Omega? There is a brand, you're right, that doesn't do it, that manages to place it, or they just leave the number off altogether. You just leave the 3 and the 9 off altogether. But
right.
Todd, what's your judgment?
Yeah, going back to the Hamilton, that's what they did on this one. You can see, I got a little bit of glare, but you can see the 9 and the 3. Of course, the 3 is where the date is, are gone, which is fine. And they don't touch the 10 or the 8 or the 5 or the 7. Yeah. So I'll bring it back a little bit. That's probably better. Yeah, I prefer this, to your point, as opposed to cut up numbers, although it kind of depends on the style a little bit, I think.
Okay, well, I'll do my bonus one quickly, and then we'll go to the audience here. But Jason, you just totally made me think of this one. and I'll the two that are guilty of this, that I'd haul them in front of the court myself. Tudor are guilty of this. Bell and Ross are guilty of this, and this is high-end luxury watches that are $2,000-$3,000 that come on a NATO strap as an option. The NATO strap is a free giveaway.
Mhm.
That is a little sweetener in the box that you can swap the strap out with. It shouldn't be your only. There is no NATO strap unless it's weaved from gold or some rare silk that is found on a endangered moth.
And Your Honor, I know this never happens in court, but I would like to agree with the attorney across the way, because there's literally some websites that put like blank dollar NATO as their title, and it's literally I could get a NATO cheaper than a hamburger, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Totally
Todd,
agree.
what's your final judgment?
Yeah, I'm with you. Does Omega make a NATO for some of their?
Not as their only option. Not as the only option.
Not as the only option. No, they never. You're right. They never do that. But some of their NATOs are expensive.
Oh yeah.
Because It'd be interesting.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That's really. That's like not giving you spring bars with a. I mean, what? There's just no point.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, let's see. And Jason, let me know if you've spotted any decent ones as well. But let's see.
Yeah, James has got one. Longines loves to cut off numbers.
Oh yeah,
that's about it.
Have we got any? Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So this is a good one, James, and this is one that if you ever catch me doing it, please call me out. And this is channel fans parroting of channel-specific idioms bother me, especially when there is only response to something. I try not to do this, and Chris and I are super paranoid about this, and Jason as well. I think is not to have like in jokes or like little kind of tag phrases that doesn't include the audience. I think that's what you mean, and this does say something that I don't really enjoy either. So I try not to do it, and call me out if we ever have an in joke. Like I don't know what it'd be. I forget the one that was in the. Did you ever watch that How I Met Your Mother, where they have a whole episode on this where they all go out drinking the night before, but one of them doesn't go. And the next day they all come back and he's like, "Oh, how was last night?" And they're like, "Oh, it was good." And then one of them goes, "To the gentleman." And then they all go, "To the gentleman." And he's sat there having no idea what they're talking about. And they just say it throughout the day. They're like, "To the gentleman." So yes, I try not to have in jokes. But there you go. But I do ramble, as proven there. So let's see. Is there anything else?
There's a hot take from TMX Films.
Okay, this one. No date.
No, that's not the hot take. That's a normal take. No, you're right. That's good. That's a normal take, I would think.
Date window at 3 bugs me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I'll interject here. Hey, Canadian Watch Monkey, how you doing? My wife loves a day date. Like if she could have a day date on any watch, she'd have a day date on every watch. So
yes.
Well, where would you put it? Where do you want it if you don't like it at the 3?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like
TMX
the date
Films.
at the 6.
Where do you want it?
Yeah. I mean, you've got the date. The only one that I've ever seen date at the 6 is not your Zin, but the non-GMT of your Zin. Jason.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, so here's James. Yeah, Longines loves cut off numbers, but I'm fine with how they do it, except for their sector dial where the 6 looks like a lowercase. Breitling do this. They make it look like a 0 for some reason at the 6 o'clock, because everybody knows that 6 goes there. Let's see.
At the top, okay. Yeah, my Seiko bullhead, a vintage Seiko bullhead, is really cool. Where it has the vertical date and day, which I really dig. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
BDev says it. Zin does a date at the 6, but that's the non-GMT one.
Okay.
Let's just see who if we've got any other questions coming in. We had that one. Is it with no date better symmetry?
I do have a couple of pictures if you want me to share my screen.
Oh, cool. Yes. Yeah.
With
Yeah, remaining 10 minutes. Absolutely.
Let's see what I can do real quick. Hold on.
Make your full screen. Do you know how to do it?
Yeah,
I'm going to
let me
stop my
see.
screen sharing.
Let's do share. Share screen.
Nope.
Okay, let me close my guy. So there, can you guys see it?
No, we can't see it yet. I wonder if it's because I can't add you in. I can only add a screen share from me.
Oh,
in.
there it is. Hold on, I messed up.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah, let me
Whoa,
close this out.
oh.
look at that.
Can you see it?
Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, Marine Master hands.
Okay, and you can see the little Shogun bezel.
Yeah.
A dual time stealth bezel insert.
Yep.
And then I got my little logo there. The loom's legit. I like it.
That's awesome.
And the crystal, super pretty.
Okay.
And then let me get, I got one
It's a
more.
box sapphire.
Yes.
Top hat.
And then here's just another look of it on wrist.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
on a mushi. And then
What's what's in it? What powers it?
Oh, 35.
Okay.
Okay.
It was I feel like I did stop sharing. I feel like it's appropriate for that. You know what I mean? Like, and this might be a hot take too, I guess, but if I'm doing a mod, and I'm not trying to, I don't know how to explain this. There's a price point I don't want to go above for a mod.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I feel like for me, I'm wasting money, right? I could just, there's plenty of stuff lined up that I could get that's got provenance or et cetera, that I can get for a little bit more money, for me, like the $2,000 price point in general is that price point for me.
Okay.
And once I creep above that, I might as well just wait and get, the one I really, really want now. I figured out, so.
Yeah.
That would be an expensive mod. Yeah, you're talking doing some pretty expensive modding when you get up to there because a used Marine Master, was it? I always forget the numbers. SBG017 or whatever. They can get a really nice one's box and papers, etc. $1,900
Yeah,
for an authentic Marine Master. So to me, that's if I was modding to one, I wouldn't want to spend anywhere near that.
and this was way less.
I'm sure that was way less, which would make complete sense to me to do what you've done there. That looks great.
So we've got some more from the audience. So B-Dev's actually put all his 5 in there. What I hate in watches, let's see, round date windows. I don't mind them. Bell and Ross.
I don't mind.
Bell and Ross.
Yeah.
You're my favorite person, B-Dev. I hate them.
Yeah, unidirectional bezels when they're supposed to be bidirectional. Okay, so this means like a 12-hour bezel or a 24-hour bezel on a GMT. I agree with that. We mentioned this. Not enough adjustment holes on the clasp. Bad loom. Slippery crown. There's actually, I gave my dad a watch that I got sent in. It was one of those mundane, the Swiss clock watches, and that crown is really tricky to grip. And I think it's because it's one of those cases that's kind of there's a name for it, isn't it? But it's like concaved.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to actually grip the crown on that. So I totally get it. Slippery crown.
Yep.
Absolutely. Also, maybe small crowns that look out of proportion with the watch. I much prefer like larger crowns.
Yeah, I do too. I'm with you on that, especially as my eyesight gets worse. Hey, I got some good numerals for you. Speaking of things cut off, this is I got to look at. I just picked this up, really inexpensive. It's a 14 karat gold plate bulova from, I think it's from the 30s. I haven't dated it yet.
Okay.
And I apologize again but the numerals on this are just, and the patina, there we go, is just gorgeous. I saw it and I said, I just love it for that patina. But look at these Art Deco numerals, and then you see the small seconds. If I can tilt it this way.
Oh, and the bluing of the hands, the blue hands as well.
They're blued hands.
Wow.
And see how they did the small seconds window there? I apologize. It's not very good camera, but it did a perfect job centering right between the 5 and the 7. But yeah, the blued hands and all that. It needs to be rebuilt, but it runs. But yeah, I just just gorgeous the way, this is how you should do, to me, a watch face.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always find it, I don't know if it's the same with that one, but maybe this is another watch pet peeve, except I don't buy rectangular watches. But sometimes when you see a rectangular watch with a round movement inside, it just looks like, for me, it just feels like cheating. So
I got a cool one I could show you guys that my wife has. I found it for. Let me share the screen real quick. Speaking of interesting date positions, share screen. I'm talking through this. I don't know why. I'm a dummy. And then here we go. Let me get it pulled up.
Yep.
Can you guys see it?
Oh yeah, there's the Monday. Yeah,
there's the Monday. Yep.
So let me tell you the story about this one. So I have a Kindle, like most people do, I guess, and I read before I go to bed. I go to bed one night, my Kindle's not working. I didn't charge it. I'm like, oh, so I guess I'll look at watch auctions on eBay and basically crack out for 30 minutes before I go to bed. And I'm scrolling through and I see this thing and I'm like, oh my gosh. And now this is like a year and some change ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I had never seen a mundane with any other kind of function other than the standard like railway timer, right? So the seller was in Hong Kong or Singapore, one of the two. But the seller had like original write-up notes where he explained like, look, I got this in 2010. It's been sitting in a box, yada, yada, yada. And he, so on and so forth. And he had a make an offer button. So I was like, all right. So he had it for like, I don't know, like 175 or something. So I made an offer like 150 and I went to sleep. So I was not expecting to win this thing, right? But I did like 15 minutes of research, and I think it was watchsleuth.com or something, where I was able to find, because he had the reference number. That's what really sold me. He laid out the reference number. So when I searched that reference number, long story short, I found it on Watch Sleuth. I verified that it was good. The guy had a picture with the papers, the box, the whole nine. And my wife always wanted a mundane.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hit make an offer. I wake up. He's like, offers accepted. Dude, and I wear glasses for reading, right? So I'm like, cleaning my eyes out, finding my glasses. Like she's asleep. And I'm like, offer, paid. And then like, I go brush my teeth like 20 minutes later. The guy's like, offer accepted. I was like, yeah, thank God for the 12-hour time zone difference, right? And so it was one of those things where I was like, I need to tell her about this because if I get hit by a truck, she's not going to know that this watch is coming. And I want her to know. And because she always wanted a mundane. And here's the crazy part. Like we were talking about prices with the Marine Master and everything. Like some of those mundanes brand new are like $600.
Yeah, they are the mechanical ones. Yeah, they use to movements and stuff. Yeah.
We got this one for, though, long story short. And I was able to take it to local jewelers. They opened it up. They cleaned it, made sure it was, they're like, yeah, man, this is a real deal. This thing's great. I gave the guy a 5-star review on eBay. And my wife has arguably the coolest watch in both of our collections.
Yeah, the mundane, I would say, it's one of those watches where I've reviewed them on the channel and they sent me one in, but that's one of the watches that if you like the design, you should go for the quartz one, because there's a quartz watch which is the stop to go, which actually simulates the Swiss clock. So do you know what the Swiss train clocks all do? The second-hand stops, and then they all sync, and then the second-hand goes. So it's like a unique thing to those Swiss clocks. So that's where you should buy. And I should have probably got the quartz instead of mechanical for my dad. But anyway,
and that's why she wanted to get them. I mean, because we saw a whole video on that.
Oh yeah. So
she was just totally, enamored by that whole thing. And my wife's like super smart, dude. Like, so the whole concept of that really intrigued her. And then so it came in, it's 40 millimeters, right? And it's like a legit 40 millimeters. When I saw it, I was like, oh man. Like I had an existential crisis. Like, do I give this to my wife? But I already told her about it. So I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? So it's her watch. She loves it. And I'm happy for her.
Yeah. We've had a few here. Somebody's saying I can't agree with this between the 4 and the 5 because the dates between the 4 and the 5 on the speed timer. But we've had a few people, just let me mention, about having either smaller movements that are too small for the case, and there's a plastic holder, or a size of the case where sorry about this, I've lost your comment, but somebody asked about where this oh yeah, here we go. Anyone else dislike when overly small movements ruin the date location on a dial? I can't think of an example of this, like where there's a real, unless an Invicta or something like that does it. But yeah, that would bother me. But yeah, the having.
Oh yeah, because it pushes it in too far.
Yeah,
like here's this horrible. I've got a bunch of watches, and these are these cheap quartz watches. So here is I think the subdials are fake. Whoops, upside down.
Oh yeah, so
subdials are fake. But
okay, yeah,
but I want to get it, see if it'll run. So here is the inside.
Oh wow, yeah.
See that spacer?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, there's spacers, and then there's spacers.
Wow, that is an out of spacers.
That's it for this tiny, cheap Chinese quartz movement, which may or may not work. But I just want to see if I can get it running again.
Who approved that contract? Spacer requirements plus or minus 46 millimeters. Oh yeah, you're acceptable.
Oh yeah, I'll talk back to. Well, guys, that has been an awesome hour. Thank you for all of your comments. I think I should play Todd's intro again as the outro, maybe.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I'll play it one more time. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you all for your comments, and I'll show the. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Todd. The watches are real. The cases are fake. His judgments are always final. Todd, watch Judge.